Now, here's your host, Bill Teegins.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. An exciting week for the Cowboys. Coach, you go 1-1. You get the big win over Colorado and just an exciting game against Oklahoma, but you're shooting the ball better, and it was an exciting week.
Bill, I thought in the two games we played much better basketball than we had been playing. As you mentioned, we beat the University of Colorado here on our court 93-76, shot the ball over 50% from the field. Then we traveled down to Norman and played the Sooners. We had beaten the University of Oklahoma 4 out of the last 5 times, and the only loss being an overtime game last year on their court. And lo and behold, we had another overtime game this time with them, and they beat us 71-65. But I was very pleased, even in defeat. I thought our players really displayed a lot of poise. They showed a lot of character and competitive spirit, and the way they fought back. You know, we were down, I think, 8 points with about 3 to go, and came right down to the end and had a shot to win the ball game, and it didn't go in, and went in overtime and just couldn't keep up with them. But I really believe our basketball team is playing so much better than they were, and if they'll play like they did in the next few games, like they did against the Buffaloes and the Sooners, then we got a chance to win a lot of ball games.
Well, a lot of good basketball ahead. Let's take a look at Colorado. The Buffaloes come to Gallagher-Iba Arena under a new coach, and as you said, Coach, you guys came out and really took it to them right from the start.
Well, it's a good omen when you hit that first shot like Jerome Lambert did, and Jerome had 2 outstanding ball games this week, and this particular one he had 23 points and 14 rebounds, and in the game against Oklahoma he had a double-double.
He's feeling much better health-wise, isn't he?
Health-wise, I think our basketball team's in the best shape we've seen them all season. And there was Jason Skier hitting a long three-pointer. He was 5 out of 7 three-point range. He had 21 points. I wish he could have saved a couple of them for down at Norman, because he had a great shooting night here, 8 out of 14, and down at Norman he only had 2 out of 12.
Man, it's just the way the game goes. It was 17-2 at one point here. You really got off to a great start against them.
It's always important to establish yourself, and that's why we always try to impress upon our team. First 5 minutes of the ball game, boy, that's important. Jump out on people. Make them come to you. Don't be playing catch up all night long.
Colorado's got a team that can keep you in the game because they can really shoot the ball.
They have 3 outstanding basketball players who can really fill it up. Chauncey Billups, who almost made a decision to come here, is probably one of the 2 or 3 best freshmen in the Big 8 Conference. They got Moore, who was a transfer from Georgia Tech, who was the ACC Rookie of the Year when he was playing for Georgia Tech. And then they've got Tuck, who's one of the best perimeter shooters we have in our league.
You got Mo Robinson back in this game. That made a difference, didn't it?
Well, Mo got 9 points, and he's still not in good shape because you don't lay out as long as he did and expect to come back and play at a top level. But it's good to have him back because he does give us some help up front.
Adrian Peterson continues to play well. We'll talk more about him in the Oklahoma game. But, boy, for a freshman, he's really done a great job for you.
We had 38 points in these 2 games, and he has truly played outstanding basketball, much better than we had anticipated. It's hard for a freshman to step in at this level and play the way he's playing. Not only scoring, but he also has improved his game defensively and passing and handling the basketball.
Well, he is so, you can tell he's so confident when he takes the ball to the hoop or whatever he does. He just looks so much more confident now than he did early in the year.
I think somebody else played well in both the games this week, and that's Keontae Roberts. In this ball game, he had 9 points and 5 rebounds, but had 5 assists and defended well. This had to be one of the 3 or 4 best games we played. Anytime you shoot 53%, we out-rebounded them 45 to 31. We had only had 12 turnovers, and that's pretty good.
Now, Coach, what about that play?
Well, that's one of the strangest plays I've ever seen in basketball. We're running an alley-oop for Jerome Lambert, and Jason Skier throws it up there, and it goes in the hole. When you're having a great day, that can happen to you.
Boy, that was something unbelievable.
There's Chad Alexander hitting a 3. Chad's come on to really help us, and as he continues to improve defensively, he's going to probably play more and more because he can really score.
Well, Jerome, as you said, really playing well. You talked about Keontae, but he's done so many things for you because you've had to switch him around because of injuries and different things. And he's worked at the point guard, he's worked at forward, he's done just about everything you've asked, hasn't he?
Well, he's probably the one player that can play all the positions on the court, 1 through 5. And he's been very dedicated, in my opinion, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And because of that, I think that's one of the reasons he's playing better. We see him down there on his own more frequently than maybe we did earlier in the year.
Well,
there's no shortcuts to being a good basketball player or a good athlete or being good at anything. And it's one thing we're always trying to stress to our players.
This had to mean a lot to get this victory because obviously it's been a struggle. You had a couple of opportunities to win in the Big Eight. This means a lot. It got you going in the right direction, even though the Oklahoma game was a loss. You played so well in that game. So this had to be a boost mentally to the guys.
Well, I've never been in this position all the years I've coached where at this halfway mark in the conference slate, we have a losing record. But we still have a chance maybe to draw even if we'll play like we did in these 2 games. But it's been a little frustrating, I think, for all of us after having that great season last year. In fact, the last 5 seasons, been in the NCAA tournament every year and going to the Final Four last season. Trying to get Tommy Warner here a basket. Billy Lewis, our other walk-on, had just scored before that, and it's always great to be able to get all the players in the game. There's Billups throwing one in at the buzzer, and Chauncey Billups had 30 points in this game. He's an outstanding player. And I tell you, the University of Colorado is a good ball club. After they had played here, in the middle of the week, they played Kansas State and beat the Wildcats in overtime.
Things are really getting wacky in the Big Eight outside of the fact that Kansas continues to win. And when we come back on the Eddie Sutton Show, we'll take a look at Bedlam basketball. That's coming up next. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. Big Monday, the Cowboys travel to Norman, and it's always an exciting time, and it was no different this week.
No different at all. Anytime our 2 universities here in the state get together, well, it's always, like they say, bedlam, and it was a fiercely competitive game, and both teams played hard, yet it was cleanly played. There wasn't any, trash talk or anything like that, and when the game was over, I think both teams realized that they had left everything on the court, and I think both teams have great respect for each other.
We saw Andre Owens make a pass in the first play there. He really played well, made some outstanding passes for you.
Andre played like he did last year. He defended well. Foster, Oklahoma's point guard, Andre did a good job on him. He had 9 assists and only 1 turnover, ran the ball club. And I just wish that he could have hit that last shot to win the ball game. He was the one that got the shot with about 6 or 7 seconds to go, and it just didn't go in. But you can see we're playing man-to-man. The only time we played zone in this game, I guess, was when they had the ball out of bounds. I think we only did that maybe once or twice. And Oklahoma is really trying to junk it up. I mean, when I say that, they're changing defenses. They'll play a couple different types of zones. They played box and one and just trying to confuse our team. But there again, I think Andre did a good job in getting our team in the right offense.
And there we go in the transition.
Keontae played very well, and he missed that shot, but that's something that all young players ought to understand. When you have one of your teammates driving the basket and looks like he's got a cinch, you better follow it up because he may miss it, and that's what Jason did.
Lambert played in the first half. I think he missed just 1 shot in the game, had double figures in scoring. I mean, the guy really came out and played well early, especially early.
He was the best I've ever seen Jerome play since he came to Oklahoma State. He had 22 points and 10 rebounds, but he hit 11 out of 12 from the field.
This game, the momentum kind of went back and forth, didn't it, throughout the game?
Well, the first half, we end up with a 1-point lead. I don't think they ever had over a 2 or 3 point lead. And, boy, that was a big shot by Barnes just before the clock went off. The shot clock went off. He hit it, a good driving shot by Owens. But we had, I guess, a 4 or 5 point lead. But it was a seesaw battle. There's Peterson hitting 2 of his 25.
Well, what a great second half he had. And you're at halftime. You're up by 1, as we said, 35-34. You got to be feeling pretty good at that point.
I felt that we had really played well. It was a clean game at that point. From the standpoint, I think we'd fouled 3 times. They had fouled 3 times. Neither team was in the bonus. The second half, it started off and it was just the opposite. It just seemed like the game was called a little differently. It wasn't one-sided by any means, but it was just called closer and a lot of fouling.
And then
Well, that
Keanu
guy right there is
obviously
a
got
warrior, that Abercrombie.
Yeah,
He's only
he
about
is, isn't he?
6'4", but he is a very, very good basketball player. And Oklahoma's a good team, Bill. They struggled for a while and lost some close games, but they went to Austin and won, and then they beat Missouri, and then they beat us, and they're playing about as well as anybody in the league right now, other than the University of Kansas.
You were talking about the foul problems, and Keanu got for number 4, and that was a big foul right there.
Yes, it was. Anytime one of your best players has to go to the bench, boy, it's a great pass from Owens to Lambert.
You know, Ryan Miner, everybody talks about how he's having an off year. He's starting to come to life again, isn't he?
Well, Ryan, in my opinion, probably is the best player in the league, and early in the year he struggled shooting, but he's letting the game come to him, and his teammates are helping him by picking up some of the scoring slack, and that's what makes them a very good basketball team. All of them are capable of hitting you for double figures. There's Abercrombie, and good defense there by Miles, and forces him into a turnover.
Kevin did a nice job there. Foster missing, he come down on the board. I'll tell you, Peterson, you talking about him doing different things, there he is in the rebound. Well, that's a great pass, too.
Good concentration on the part of Lambert, because he got shoved in the back, and yet he still completed the shot and then got to go to the free throw line.
And here's where Adrian starts to light it up.
He has great court presence, in my opinion. You know, he doesn't get excited whether things are going good or bad. Well, that's a great a great dunk, but it was a great play defensively, the anticipation of running through the ball. And this is when we come back, and I tell you, their fans got a little antsy at that stage, because it looked like that Oklahoma had just about ready to blow the lead. I think Adrian scored 13 straight points during this stretch when we finally tied the ball game up.
They hit some trays that were unbelievable, didn't they?
Well, you know, they hit 10 out of 19 from three-point range, and they hit there in one stretch. I think they hit 4 in a row. Erdman hit one, Miner hit one, Barnes hit one.
Erdman's starting to play real well for them, too.
He certainly is. Nate's a fine basketball player. You know, he and Miner came very close to coming here, and they'd really look good in our uniforms. But anytime you recruit a couple of quality guys like that, and you don't get them, you always certainly follow their progress, and they're both good basketball players.
You know, Keanu did a nice job in this game, not only scoring, but on the free throw line. He made some big free throws, something he struggled with all year.
He has struggled, and he was 5 out of 6. He had 15 points and 6 boards.
Good effort for him outside of that 4th foul when he got in trouble there.
Well, he had to sit on the bench.
Here we go. This is down the stretch now. You can see this ties the game at 72.
Barnes misses.
Things going to get
here
interesting.
Here we are right here.
Coach.
Andre, I don't think, knew how much time was on the clock. He rushed that shot a little bit, and they come back, and Barnes gets a wide open look at the basket here in the corner. He misses it, and we're in overtime. But going back to Andre's play, Noble Arena is a wonderful place to play, but the clocks are located such that it's hard to tell when the shot clock goes off how much time's left in the game, and I don't believe that Andre knew that he had as much time as he did. There's Chad Alexander hitting a deep 3.
They got off it seems like if you score, obviously the most important thing in overtime is you want to get the lead as quickly as you can, don't you?
And it's always important to get ahead and make the other team come to you, and Oklahoma was able to do that.
It was a great basketball game, 81-75 the final in overtime. When we come back on the Eddie Sutton Show, we're going to take a look at 2 Oklahoma State Cowboys who have really stepped up their game. That's next. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. You know, the Cowboys have really kicked up their game, and a couple of players in particular, one a freshman and one a senior. Tom Dorado reports on our off-the-court feature.
A true freshman with just 19 games under his belt and a senior who knows how to compete on the Division I level. Well, they've both turned it up a notch the last week or so for Oklahoma State. Adrian Peterson, who this time last year was earning Mr. Basketball honors in the state of Arkansas at Oak Grove High School, has been something to behold. Pete is averaging almost 21 points a game over his last 4 outings, has hit 12 of his last 19 from three-point range, and has poured in 70 points in Oklahoma State's last 3 road contests at Kansas State, Kansas, and Oklahoma. His 27 against the third-ranked Jayhawks established the season high and tied Byron Houston for the third-best single-game point total for an OSU freshman. Pete's second-half shooting almost single-handedly kept OSU in the game against Oklahoma. At one point, he scored 13 straight and had 2 impressive slams, the last one following a turnover that proved to be the bucket that sent the Bedlam game into overtime. It hasn't taken long for Peterson to establish himself as one of the top freshmen in the Big 8 and one of the most talented newcomers on the national level. The rest of his game also continues to improve. Not to be lost in all the points is the fact that the North Little Rock product has hit 11 of his last 13 from the charity stripe, has pulled down 15 rebounds over this stretch from a guard spot, and has committed just 7 turnovers in his last 4 contests. He has also averaged 31 minutes a game since the trip to Kansas State. Adrian Peterson, truly one of the bright young stars on the college basketball scene today. You would have a hard time finding anyone who is playing better of late than OSU senior transfer Jerome Lambert. Healthy for the first time all season, this Arkadelphia, Arkansas native has posted some eye-popping numbers in his last 2 outings against Colorado and Oklahoma. Lambert has hit 22 of his last 26 shots, pulled down 24 rebounds, and averaged 22 points during this time. He's turned the ball over just 4 times in his last 70 minutes and committed just a pair of fouls. He hit the Sooners for 22 points and 10 rebounds, besting the 13-point, 15-board effort he had in Norman as a junior while playing at Baylor. In 7 Big 8 games, Jerome is averaging 14 points, 7+ rebounds, and is hitting 66% of his shots from the field. Jerome's 11 of 12 showing against Oklahoma tied a school record for minimum of 12 attempts. Former Cowboys Ray Crenshaw and Charles Williams were 11 of 12 back in 1984 against Colorado and Oral Roberts, respectively. Lambert's numbers posted at Lloyd Noble Center brought back memories of Big Country's 11 of 11 performance back in 1994. Lambert's knee continues to improve, and Jerome has avoided foul problems in his last 2 games. He indeed has been a warrior inside. Adrian Peterson, a freshman. Jerome Lambert, a senior. 2 Cowboys who will continue to play key roles in Oklahoma State's stretch drive.
I hope Tom is right. I think those 2 guys, if they'll continue to play like they did in the 2 games with the Colorado and Oklahoma, we got a chance to win a lot of ball games.
Yeah, they've really kicked it up. And when we come back, we'll take a look at what's ahead for the Cowboys. A busy week. That's next on the Eddie Sutton Show. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. A busy week for the Cowboys. Coach, you get started on Saturday against Kansas State, then come back Tuesday, and both of these games at home.
Good to be home, but they're both going to be tough ball games. K-State and Missouri both are nice teams. They've been up and down, and as I mentioned, they were beaten earlier or this last week by Colorado. But Mississippi State plays University of Oklahoma in an intersectional game Saturday afternoon, and then Missouri, Kansas City is at Colorado. And then we mentioned our game on Tuesday, and I think one of the reasons television was moved from Wednesday to Tuesday. Plus, I think Missouri goes to Maryland that weekend, so they wanted an extra day of practice time. Wednesday night, Colorado at Kansas, Iowa State at Oklahoma.
So that's the schedule. Now, coming up on Saturday at the Kansas State game, I know there's something special going to be handed out to fans that's close and dear to you.
Well, it should be close to everybody because I'm not sure that there's a person alive that doesn't know someone that's had cancer, and the Basketball Coaches Association, it's Coaches versus Cancer. It was started a couple years ago, and it's a 3-point attack. And what it amounts to, they'll pass out a brochure at the game, and if you're interested in helping fight cancer, and all the monies go to the American Cancer Society, but for every 3-point shot that a Cowboy hits this season, then you can contribute X number of dollars, and all the schools across the country, everybody in the Big Eight's doing that. So hopefully a lot of our people will participate.
And again, you got Kansas State 12:45 tip-off on Saturday. Obviously, it's great to be home. You got a little revenge factor against those Wildcats.
Never talk about revenge, but we just need to win. They beat us 62-59 in Manhattan, and that was the game that I had suspended Andre Owens. But he's going to be back in the starting lineup Saturday afternoon, and it's going to be good to play the Wildcats back here. And like every game from now, we got 7 games left. We got to win a bunch of them.
Coach, good luck on Saturday and also on Tuesday against Missouri. For Coach Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. We'll see you next week on the Eddie Sutton Show. So long, everybody.